What is up, bros? With Josh here. In today's video, we are going over an insane game that we had in the ZOW, and this is a game that you really just don't see that much anymore, and it was awesome to be part of it. And I feel like today, especially in higher tiers, games are just steamrolls no matter what, and the rarity of good games is rare. I feel like you just don't really get those last second wins, those last second games, and this was definitely one of them. So this was a fun game to have, win or lose, when it's games like this that are so close that the teams are struggling back and forth. I feel like it's such a it just doesn't happen anymore. And being in the ZOW, we just got the ZOW on our alt account. So during this video too, we had just gotten the ZOW and we still had the 8 kilometers. So if you're asking yourself throughout the video, why am I not launching the 12-kilometer torps? It is because it was a quote-unquote stock ZOW. So we had the old school tier 8s, although they're extremely fast. They didn't have the range of the 12s. There are many situations, which I'll point out, that I wish I had the ZOW 12-kilometer torps, because we would have been able to pump out a lot more damage and I would have been able to play a tad differently. But throughout this video, though, this is just a game that you love to be part of, and I feel like these are just rarer and rarer as time goes on. As more and more players get into high tier, there's obviously a skill gap that is starting to form. It's been forming for over a year in high tiers, where you get players that are newer to the game, have played the game less, and they are into the higher tiers because the game grind has become much easier over time with the flags and camos and all the bonuses. So you're starting to get a kind of a skill gap when it comes to high tier ships. So a good ZOW versus a bad ZOW is going to see a pretty big skill gap, and it's just going to have such a bigger weight when it comes to high tier games. And because a tier 10 ship is so much harder to carry than basically a low tier ship. But anyways, let's dive into the game itself, and this one was pretty nice. So the thing about the ZOW, as you can see, I'm running my try-hard clan battle build, is I love to get on the flanks with this ship and just do ZOW things. Now, what is ZOW things? Well, light lots of fires, do a bunch of damage, cause hell for the team, and really be a problem for them to all get through. But really what you want to do is get onto the side, and the best part about this game is there is CVs, so it's a bit of a bummer, but it's 1DD versus 1DD, so not many things are going to really be spotting me. So as long as you are using cover, stuff like this, this is the perfect situation right here. There's a Yamato pushing around. Now the Shima's right there too, but I'm not detected, so we're just going to do, as I think I even said, dirty ZOW things to the Yamato. Now we have to be a tad careful because it is a Yamato. Yamato can just overmatch everything. Same with the Republic. Well, not everything, but the Yamato can really pick on the ZOW. The ZOW is known for having troll armor and can kind of bounce a lot of shells. But if this guy kind of stays here, we don't get detected, we can really do a lot of damage to him. This is also a fantastic situation of, I wish I had the 12-kilometer torps. Now I only have the 8s, and our Des Moines wishes he had more life. But I only have the 8, so I could have launched torps. Now, what I'm going to try to do, that guy got obliterated, so obviously he's spotted by planes, as was I. So I'm going to try to get into a spot where I can maybe take some pressure away from him and hopefully deal some damage on this. Already at 40,000 damage, but we're still kind of holding him down. Like right now, if I had 12-kilometer torps, I could have put torps on that Yamato, and they probably would have hit. We're going to even watch his movement here. 12-kilometer torps probably would have hit him. And I figured I wouldn't shoot the Shimmer right now because we had a CV, we had a DM right there, and we need to kind of push him back. One thing we need to be careful too is just there's a Minotaur, Iowa, Hindenburg, and Yamato, as well as a Shima on this side. So we have to be a tad careful of what we do for everything else because we don't want to get obliterated, because in Iowa, still, we'll overmatch parts of our ship, so it'll still hurt. And also the Yamato. So probably if we had 12-kilometer torps right there, they would have hit that Yamato. So a bit of a bummer. One thing we could have done is also gone dark here, dropped torps on both sides, probably forced to repair. Even with the new repair, it would have really hurt the Yamato, and probably would have annihilated the Iowa too. So that is one thing, that just the torps alone on the ship could have caused a lot of havoc, and really a bit of a bummer that we just didn't have them. But we use what we use. The Iowa's luckily going to sail broadside to the Jean Bart, so the Jean Bart's going to do dirty things to broadside battleships, which means absolutely citadel the hell out of them. So one of the things I love about the Jean Bart is its ability to pump out a ton of damage and capitalize on mistakes. But one of the things that the Yamato is extremely good at is fending off damage. So assuming he's running some kind of survivability build, not survivability expert, obviously, that's completely worthless for battleships. But other builds like high alert and basic survivability, maybe the lower duration on fires, he's going to be able to tank a ton of damage when it comes to this. So things we're just going to look at. And instead of our Des Moines kind of holding down this point, he decides to just kind of YOLO out. He goes into ACAP for some reason, and so it's not too surprising that our Des Moines kind of just gets farmed this game. He got obliterated by the Yamato, almost one shot, and now he's just going to throw away his ship. So that's kind of what I'm talking about. You get a lot of situations like that where people just kind of throw away their ships, and instantly we are down a big tier 10 ship. I mean, compare a team having a DM to a team that doesn't have a DM. We're basically down a big effective ship. So one thing that was a bit of a bummer this game, and also I am running range mod. I don't use the range mod. I run range mod. I don't have legendary mod because we just got it, but I don't run the reload module. So I do run the range mod because the standard range on the Zao is pretty low. Also, with our DM leaving, we no longer have the radar to push that Shimakaze away. So, with me having to be so far away too, I just kind of have to do the Zao things. I can only stay so close, and our Jean Bart is sadly going to be taking a face full of Shimakaze torps, and also the Yamato goes away. So, unluckily right here, if our DM kind of just would have stayed, he would have been fine and could have really held down that side, and we probably would have got a kill on the Shimakaze. But right now, as you can see, the kill feed is where we gain some points, we lose some points. We gain some points, we lose some points, and that's through this entire map. We couldn't really get to a situation where we started to work at a positive. We couldn't work at like a profit basically. So and this one was pretty scary too. We had the Yamato, so I didn't want to give him perfect broadside because he'll just obliterate us, and I was really nervous about the Shima spotting us. But I'm trying to hold down, as you can see, I'm holding down their lone DD Yamato, the Cleveland, which is trying to push the cap. So I'm trying to help with this. So one thing you can do a lot with the Zao is go dark and obliterate things sailing broadside with your AP. So we're trying to save our Cleveland here, and one thing I could have done probably was get aggressive and greedy, but I didn't want to shoot early and get wrecked by the Yamato, so that's a huge fear. And we did drop a nice little salvo, but I don't think it's enough to save the Cleveland. So our Cleveland is pushing into him, and I think the Minotaur is going just at the right angle, and the Shima is for some reason shooting. One thing I do recommend if you do play the Zao is to, and I kind of have to go away, I just don't know where that Yamato is, we just don't have the spots. I'm not really even sure what our CV was dropping on the majority of this game, so we lose our Cleveland there, so a bit of a bummer. I probably could have got an extra salvo on him, and we don't get the shot on that Shima, so I have to be pretty careful and just kind of use my radio location as my advantage. I thought the Yamato would just push around, and again, we kill a ship, we lose a ship, kill a ship, lose a ship. It was like back to back to back. We just couldn't gain a situation. Already at 100,000 damage, but probably, I don't even know, probably not 80,000 of that was from that one Yamato, so that tends to be the problem. And really, I felt like the CVs just kind of fought over what was going on this side. As you can see, there's a lot of ships on the other side of the map, so I was hoping they would kind of win that. As you can see, their last known spots, there's a ton of ships on the west side where I am. Obviously, they're one destroyers. I would assume that would be the Yamato. And this was a perfect example of, man, I wish I had the 12-kilometer torps. So what I could have done is basically curl in, drop torps on this general area. And here, Zao torps are very, very punishing. I just couldn't get close because I thought the Shima would probably push north and push towards B cap. Because why wouldn't he? There's the cap. He has a lot of life. Our Shima has very, very low life, and I mean, he's going to spot me so the Yamato can get him. But this is a situation where I wish I had the 12-kilometer torps. Even in mini games, the 12-kilometer torps can catch DDs off guard. That's where I even threw those out. So with this, I'm just going to kind of play the slow Zao game, wreck him for almost 8k with HE, but continue to not give him the ability to just murder me, play with my speed a little bit, and continue to just pump out damage, because this is a game I feel like that we need to pump out damage. So 2 salvos right there, back to back, pretty big ones, 10 pens on that, and we're just going to kind of go dark. He really is holding his shot really, really well, so it was a bit of a bummer, but again, trying to get an idea of where that dang DD is. So it would have been nice if our CV was doing that, but our CV is trying to support that side. and hopefully get that GK before something else happens, because our Monty is kind of YOLOing into C cap with no real support. So here I see the opportunity where I just need to basically push straight south. I need to keep pressure on this guy because, and there's the Shimakaze in the middle. So kind of read the situation incorrectly. I didn't really have much information to go off of, just radio location. So this is something that I would consider I played poorly, but we found the spot where we just needed to make something happen. So one thing I'm going to do right now in my head is I need to put pressure on A cap and then try to support the middle. As you see, we kill a ship, lose a ship, kill a ship, lose a ship. It was like that all game. We are holding the lead right now, which is kind of nice, but it's not like our DD can go contest any cap with CVs. It's not like our other ships can really get the cap, so it's kind of on me. So my whole thought process is Shima is going south. I'm going to push kind of towards A cap, basically full C, but keeping pressure on the Yamato. Yamato just repaired one fire, and again we lose the Monty, so it's getting pretty sketchy here. So I'm really gonna try to push this as fast as I can. If we can kill that Yamato, it's big points, and the Hindenburg is there as well. So one thing I was really hoping wouldn't happen would be the Yamato kind of pushes in. So instead of just, as he started to make that turn basically, so I figured he would get his guns on me, is I would push this spot right here, get support shots on the Shimakaze, and then if the Yamato pushes north, or the Hindenburg pushes north, I murder him with the 8-kilometer torps. But really need to get the Shima off the map because it's going to offer them spotting, it's going to offer them damage, and I'll try to do whatever I can to help our Shima potentially win that fight if he needs to. It looks like he's heading south, so he might get into a spot. But always trying to watch where that Yamato could be, because I need to have those torps on the ready. So, the guy saying you need to stick together. The dead guy always giving the advice is always the best. But yeah, so really it's kind of on to me right now. Our Amagi is on the 10 line still, and so we're not going to get much out of that. Our Des Moines is kind of in the open, so it's a tad scary. Cleveland, Des Moines, I don't know how much life they have. We saw that the Hindenburg was full life. So I was thinking that I needed to be the playmaker here and make something happen on A, but it's hard for me to really, as you see I pop my plane, it's hard for me to really do too much as I get spotted too, so that kind of eliminates the surprise here. I have no idea if the Hindenburg is pushing into cap. I have no idea if the Yamato's pushing north. I don't really have anything, so I popped the plane, see what I could spot, and really try to get into a spot where I can make the torps work. They are in terrible spots for me. Pretty much the Hindenburg has better torp angles than me, so not really the best here. Also planes going on, so we'll pop that up. So Hindenburg kind of wrecks me close range. I have to give up a broadside to get my torps out, and I have to give up just him having better torp angles. So I can't really go brawl against the Hindenburg, so I'm hoping that the Hindenburg would maybe pop out and we would kind of get him this way. And of course we got that. A little scared here with the actual torps coming. I thought I was gonna maybe take that, and I was like, all right, let's go Hindenburg, one broadside for broadside, we'll see what we do. And this Hindenburg actually played this really well. I was surprised, and I was hoping that I would maybe get this Cleveland, because we need to snag a kill, especially with the radar ship. And this is the salvo I think I got completely robbed on. It was almost perfect. The Des Moines was going broadside. Looks like I actually aimed a tad high, but I feel like I got a tad robbed right here. Broadside DM. I was hoping for a couple citadels here, and we got 5 overpens and 2 full pens. So such a bummer. That could have really helped our our DM probably win that. And again, we see the Hindenburg with radio location, which I feel like is pretty nice on the Zao. Definitely kind of worth it. Again, 12-kilometer torps, another situation where they would have probably helped me win this spot right here. And so Hindenburg obviously pushing around, torps going out, and we need to angle away. So Hindenburg has the very troll armor as well. And this was a situation where I also read wrong. I put a little bit too much faith into my teammate because I figured he would spot. And so I'm trying to pump in that 203. Zao does have some pretty dang good pen, but I do have to be careful because of his damage output is so much more than mine. He has 12 shells going out, and with the quarter pen, it's just so much alpha damage. Actually, I guess the 12 kilometers wouldn't have mattered. So I was hoping for maybe a nice cheeky salvo here, but I saw my Shima coming north, and so I figured, you know what? If he comes north, I can pop behind this little island right here, this little alcove here, and potentially shoot dark, and then he would continue to stay spotted. But he put too much faith into a random player, and not much is really going to come from it. So kind of a bummer. And yeah, I probably shot at one too many shots with the AP. He ended up playing this perfectly, exactly how I play it. And again, I put some faith in the Shima, and he just ended up being in a good spot, or that Hindenburg, so he couldn't really push there. And we know that we are lost losing our Amagi, who instead of maybe chilling in decap on the cap, he then kind of YOLO'd. I think a lot of our battleships kind of YOLO'd in this game, to a spot where he was just completely farmed by the enemy team. So 1 by 1 in they go, and it's up to me, Josh. What do you know? So what I'm thinking here is we lose the Amagi. We have 4 minutes left. So basically, I need to win this game because everyone's going south. I have the Hindenburg. That's my kill. And the Hindenburg ends up rotating south into the cap. It's like he was reading my mind in every situation. So that was a bit of a bummer. And DM is holding down. Yamato kills our Amagi, so we're down on points. And we got our last little heal, so that's basically all we got. So this Hindenburg couldn't have played this any better. He basically held us down and kind of kept us out of the game because he locked down A cap. And just, I can't give him props enough. It's fun to play against a good player like this because it's kind of almost like a mental game. And so what he's going to do is basically hold down this cap, and he knows that if he plays it correctly, I can't push into it. There's just no way. He has too much life. His torps are too good. He has too good of an angle. And I'm asking the DM if anything is killable. Honestly, I feel like what should have happened is we end up seeing that our Yamato could actually be killed. But the DM ends up getting obliterated right here. He ends up getting dropped and end up shot by the DM. So I'm like, why would he even leave that cap? Why would he even leave that? He could have just held it down and farmed this guy. He could have been in decap shooting blind and could have been farming the DM, could have been farming the Yamato. And so that was a pretty big misplay by him. And so I'm seeing the Hindenburg here, and I'm like, okay, if he leaves, then I can just go into A cap. I know I can probably beat a Cleveland. The model's down. I know the DM is low. This is potential. We have some potential to win this. And so Shimakaze, hoping he can maybe hit some torps, but the Hindenburg is going to make this turn. So all those torps are going to miss. I'm thinking maybe something will hit the Cleveland, you know, maybe a torp will hit the Cleveland. We need a kill, though. We need a kill. 2 minutes left. And planes are coming in. We got some drops in. But everything else is pretty high A. Cleveland's got high A consumable. Des Moines obviously is a Des Moines. And then Hindenburg even has high A too. So I'm like, okay, well, I got a couple options, and as you see, everything's basically south of me, which kind of sucks. So my only win condition is basically getting a super lucky shot on this Cleveland that's heading due south, so that's a bummer. And as the guy said, super good game. It was. And I was hoping that maybe this Hindenburg would kind of mess up here. I don't know why it's clicking onto the Cleveland. It should have been clicking on the Hindenburg here. So I was like, he's sailing straight. So one thing we're hoping for is a massive AP salvo. So again, we lost spots, and so we are going to go in with the AP salvo. This is the only way we win this. I can't push in because it just gives away my ship. So the only way we can win this is if I kill, because if you see the points, we're down by 40, and we get a nice chunker right there, a nice 10k chunker. And so we're gonna hope that his German AP gets a little trolly, and my IGN AP gets a little bit better. I wish I would have had the legendary module. I could have actually got a tad, taken a tad less damage and actually done a tad more. So we get another 5k salvo. We switch to HE. He's not giving us a very good angle, and it is us against the clock. So 2 caps, not much we can do. Our Shima shooting, our CV is shooting. He actually ends up going, putting shots on the Shima, which is nice, and that means we get to push in and be a tad more aggressive. We have enough time for about 3 salvos, so we need to make them count. So we're aiming for that superstructure and getting in as close as possible. He's really trying to get that shot, so he switches to me instead. We get a double sticky fire. 27 seconds, he repairs it. And so I'm trying not to get obliterated. So I see he shoots HE. There's nothing he can really do. So shot goes in. 20 seconds. He takes a flood. No fire from me. And so we switch to AP. This ended up being super sketchy right here. And 11 seconds. 11 seconds. But he is flooding. I need to do about 5,000 damage. 4,500. So I'm a tad higher back, hitting all the superstructure. And we get that kill. There aren't games like this anymore. It's so good. It's such a good game. and we made it happen. Again, a couple misplays by me, a few bad reads, a couple things we could have done differently if we had the 12-kilometer torps. I think we could have put more pressure on that Yamato a tad earlier, probably forcing him a flood, and that would have completely changed the entirety of that game. But still, we had what we had, so we did what we could, and we ended up getting a last-second win by points, so still a 20-minute game, but still, you just don't get games like this anymore. They're so one-sided, obliterations, landslides, and this was so much fun. Even in games like this, you know, good players versus good players, good choices versus good choices. Our Shima stayed alive. Our DM ended up making a play that didn't end up being the best call, but we end up still getting the kill, and teams just played great. And so these just seem so rare in random battles. At least you can still have good games in ranked battles, especially in clan battles as well. They tend to be a tad slower, but you just don't get games like this. So overall, this is one of our first few games. I think our first 3 or 4 games in the Zao on the new account. We now have the 12-kilometer torps, so if anybody was wondering. But again, 200,000 damage, always fantastic. Get over that mark. 3 citadels, 12 fires, 2 kills, some plane kills, 250 target hits, and we're at the top of the team right there as well. Our midway ended up farming a bunch of damage, and our Shima stayed alive. Our Shima was down to a really low life almost the entirety of the game, and so I think one of the guys on their team was calling their team like a coward team, but if they would have pushed in, that Des Moines Cleveland would have pushed in, they probably would have got spotted by the CV, and I would have been able to kill them earlier. So they basically kept them in the game. And you know, shout out to that Hindenburg. He played that perfectly, played that really, really well, and that was a fun little duel we had. So but in the end, just a good game overall. Bunch of damage, 100,000, almost 108,000 damage to the Yamato. So thank you for letting me get that damage up. And overall, just a really, really fun one. But anyways, guys, I wanted to show you what I was thinking, what I was trying to do, and how we ended up getting the win in this game. Just a fun game in the Zao. Glad to have this ship on the Alds count. And then you will see a Road to Tier 10, the High Tier series coming soon, and we'll also be picking the next line we go down to. So anyways, guys, that's it for me. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. Remember, like, subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time.